Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, good morning. On behalf of the OECD, I would like to thank the Centre for Responsible Business for the opportunity to contribute to this important event and to your discussions today. Sustainability and inclusivity is key to our common future. We are fast approaching important deadlines in 2030. It is therefore urgent that we put people and planet at the center of economic development. 2030 sounds like a distant future, but it's really only 84 months from now. Yet it's no secret that unfortunately we are not on track to deliver. In fact, only 12% of the global goals for sustainable development agreed in 2015 are on track. And GHG emissions, as we know, continue to rise. The only way to meet these challenges is through strong international cooperation. And India's role is indispensable. India is a key partner to the OECD. It is an adherent to 14 OECD legal instruments. In fact, last year, India joined the OECD Corporate Governance Committee, and the recently revised OECD G20 Principles of Corporate Governance contain a new chapter on sustainability. The principles were endorsed by the G20 under India's presidency, further demonstrating and cementing India's commitment to sustainable business. Indeed, the only way to deliver on our shared goals is to change the way we do business. Responsible business conduct is an indispensable foundation for sustainable and inclusive societies, or as we say at the OECD, responsible today, sustainable tomorrow. The OECD guidelines for multinational enterprises are the international baseline standard for responsible business conduct. The guidelines are recommendations by governments to businesses, and they cover the full range of business impacts on people, planet, and society, including human rights and climate change, for example. They expect companies to conduct due diligence on impacts that are associated with their operations, products, and services, including through their suppliers, their customers, or the users of their products and services. While the guidelines are voluntary recommendations from governments to businesses, they are also increasingly backed by government policies for responsible business conduct. Lastly, the guidelines are accompanied by a unique dedicated grievance mechanism. The system of national contact points for responsible business conduct has handled nearly 700 cases in over 100 countries. This year, on 8th of June, the OECD released the most recent update of the guidelines for multinational enterprises on responsible business conduct. And this update addresses the need for international standards that are fit for addressing the urgent social, environmental, and technological priorities and challenges facing societies and businesses. So what are some of the key updates? On technology, technology has a profound impact on the matters covered by the guidelines, including sustainable development, human rights, economic participation, the quality of democracy, social cohesion, but also environmental factors such as climate change and labor market factors such as decent work. The guidelines now include due diligence expectations regarding these types of impacts of technology, of science, and innovation. This includes, for example, addressing the risks related to artificial intelligence systems. The OECD guidelines indeed are now referenced in the recent G7 Code of Conduct on the development of AI systems. On the environment, the guidelines are now explicit that enterprises should conduct due diligence to address adverse environmental impacts of their operations, products, and services. This includes impacts such as climate change, biodiversity loss, degradation of land, marine and freshwater systems, deforestation, air, water, and soil pollution, the mismanagement of waste, including hazardous substances. Indeed, on climate change, the guidelines are now the first and only international agreement to ask companies to align their greenhouse gas emissions with global temperature goals. On human rights, the guidelines now provide enhanced protection for at-risk individuals and groups, such as indigenous peoples, but also human rights and environmental defenders, including those who voice concerns about business conduct. On disclosure, let me also emphasize that the guidelines reflect the increasing demand for disclosure of sustainability information by companies. Businesses should disclose information on all material sustainability matters that can reasonably be expected to influence an investor's assessment of the enterprise's value. And it is also important that they communicate credible information on their due diligence processes and the impacts of their operations, products, and services on people, planet, and society. Lastly, on lobbying, the guidelines recognize the importance that businesses engage in public advocacy, and they emphasize also that business lobbying activities should be transparent and that lobbying methods and positions should be consistent with the guidelines. The guidelines, as I noted, maintain their voluntary nature, but the matters covered by the guidelines are increasingly subject to domestic regulation or integrated into market-based sustainability standards and initiatives. In this way, the OECD guidelines on responsible business conduct serve as a common reference point for a global smart mix of measures. Indeed, the OECD in February this year adopted a new recommendation on the role of government in promoting responsible business conduct. In this new OECD recommendation, governments commit to developing and enforcing a legal and regulatory environment that enables responsible business conduct. And they commit to doing so in a way that aligns with international standards on responsible business conduct. 75% of OECD countries now either have or are in the process of introducing such policies. And as governments become increasingly active in this field, it will be important to maintain regulatory coherence across jurisdictions. Supply chains are global, and therefore policies for due diligence in global supply chains need to align with agreed international standards. This is important to reduce complexity for business and to maintain inclusivity in the global economy, where countries and companies find themselves at different stages of development. For this reason, OECD ministers have called on the OECD to act as an inclusive platform for governments to exchange information and cooperate on the development and implementation of policies for supply chain due diligence. We also see, as I noted, increasing uptake of responsible business conduct by industries and industry initiatives and standards in key sectors of the economy. So let me give you a couple of examples. India plays a prominent role in international gold supply chains as one of the largest consumers of gold and a significant source also of gold trading and refining. So in 2020, the Indian National Stock Exchange and the Indian Multi-Commodity Exchange adopted OECD standards on responsible business conduct as a requirement for gold to be traded on their platforms. The Bombay Stock Exchange adopted similar requirements in 2021. So this means that gold refiners in India have to be audited against OECD standards on responsible business conduct in order to trade on these exchanges. And these exchanges cover approximately 90% of all gold that is refined in India. So this is an important example of how voluntary initiatives can support access to international markets. Another example in the textile and garment sector is that the OECD has cooperated with members of the Confederation of Indian Industries to organize a series of multi-stakeholder industry roundtables on responsible business conduct. The OECD, in fact, right now is preparing a baseline report that will highlight key priorities on responsible business conduct in the garment sector in India. And we hope that this report will help the industry adjust to the growing sustainability requirements from trading partners as well as international brands in the sector. So, ladies and gentlemen, India and Indian business is key to sustainable development for people and planet. We hope that through our continued collaboration, we can build awareness and preparedness for Indian business, including SMEs, to succeed in a global economy where sustainability standards and solutions are becoming a key competitive factor. I encourage you all to make use of OECD standards and resources to achieve this common aim, and I hope to see many of you at our next big event, which will be the OECD Forum on Due Diligence in the Garment and Footwear sector, to be held in Paris on the 21st and the 22nd of February 2024. So ladies and gentlemen, let me thank you for your attention, and I wish you a successful conference and productive discussions. Thank you.